Shut up and sit down.
So wait, a Nicolas Cage movie starring a Mustang called Eleanor? And we've somehow not covered that yet? I am Simon from Nerd Safari. If you enjoy this, please hit the subscribe button. But for now, let's rock and roll. It's time to hit Gone in 60 seconds.
Okay, let's run.
Gone in 60 seconds.
Wait just 1 second. This movie is a reboot, right? And surely the originals are always better? Come on! Well, normally I would have to agree with Negative Simon that reboots are inferior to the originals, but have you tried watching the original Gone in 60 Seconds anytime recently? It is a tough sit. Now, first of all, it's written by, produced by, directed by, and starring the same person, H.B. Toby Halicki. And it's not that it's a bad movie, it's pretty much 40 minutes of car crashes, and who doesn't love that? But the print is really not so good, and it can make it a very, very tough sit. It's a very different feeling movie to the 2000 reboot. Well, anyway, the reboot only got 6 out of 10 on IMDb and only 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. Come on, dude, it surely can't be that good. Now, don't get too hung up, Negative Simon, on what the critics say, especially when it comes to car movies, because they universally hate them. To me, this is a really fun action-adventure romp that builds on some awesome casting, including 3 Oscar winners. Now, of course, you've got Nicolas Cage, and in my opinion, in this movie, he walks the line between some of his more pedestrian roles and some of his way too crazy roles, and I think, for me, that's where you get the ultimate Nicolas Cage experience.
Nice.
Little trick I learned in the car thief retirement home. By the time the first car's reported stolen, your ship set sail.
I think Angelina Jolie was also really awesome as the punky, hard-hitting Sway. You may not be aware, but this role was actually written for Angelina Jolie herself, and she accepted the role because she is obsessed with cars.
What do you think is more exciting, having sex or stealing cars?
And third, you've got Oscar winner Robert Duvall, who plays the crusty old garage owner who just happens to also be Memphis Reign's mentor.
I'm gonna have to go old school. A day to shop, a day to prep.
But let's not forget the rest of the cast because they are incredible. You've got Giovanni Ribisi, who you probably know from Sneaky Pete or Saving Private Ryan. He plays Memphis Reign's brother. Then you've got Christopher Eccleston, Doctor Who himself, playing the lead bad guy Raymond Khaleesi. And then you've got Vinnie Jones, another one of my countrymen, for once not playing a bad guy, or maybe just a very bad good guy. And one of my favorite fun pairings in the movie is of Delroy Lindo and Timothy Olyphant as the detectives who are desperately trying to keep up with these car thieves. And if that pairing is sounding a little bit familiar to you, you might recognize them from one of my favorite movies of all time, 1997's A Life Less Ordinary. The soundtrack has to get a mention as well. It features songs from artists like Jane's Addiction, Method Man, the Commodores, even Johnny Cash. And when you consider the diversity of the cars that they're stealing from all different times in history, I love the fact that they built a soundtrack that reflects that diversity. Now, of course, another reason why I love this movie is that they just happen to have picked my favorite car in the world in the starring role, a Shelby GT 500 Mustang, and I could talk about that car all day long, but I'm gonna park it and cover that in a completely different video. Now, talking of the Shelby GT 500 called Eleanor, 7 of them were made for this movie. 5 of those 7 were totaled during filming. So that left 2. Jerry Bruckheimer got one of them, Nicolas Cage got another. Jerry Bruckheimer said that the car is so fast it's actually terrifying to drive. Nicolas Cage, on the other hand, loves his GT 500, drives it all the time today. Nicolas Cage was also really serious about doing all of his own stunt driving in this movie. So he went to 2 car driving schools to learn how to drive a race car, and he also went to a stunt driving school, and he enjoyed the stunt driving so much that he actually continued it as a hobby after filming closed. Angelina Jolie, Delroy Lindo, Giovanna Ribisi, and Scott Caan also attended the famous Bobby Orr stunt driving school, maybe not as extensively as Nicolas Cage, but they all decided to get in character and learn how to drive their own stunts. Robert Duvall even worked with a professional car detailer just to get in the mindset of the kind of guy who runs a car detailing shop. One thing that I loved about this movie is that Christopher Eccleston actually speaks in his native accent, what we would refer to as a Lancashire accent. And the reason that he said he did this was because in most movies, Englishmen are portrayed either as cockneys or too posh, and he just wanted to be himself.
Not all bad though. Funeral will be on the telly. Everybody out there pressed and dressed. Guard of honour. 21 gun salute and the stars and stripes draped all over your coffin.
You won't find this in the credits, but one of the reasons for the constant script changes is that about halfway through, they brought in an emergency, Jonathan Hensley and a little known scriptwriter at the time called J.J. Abrams to completely overhaul the script. Christopher Eccleston was not fond of this movie at all. He describes it as a terrible movie in which he gave a terrible performance, and he says that up until he released Doctor Who in 2005, people would come up to him on the street and say, "Oi mate, you were in Gone in 60 Seconds! You were shit!" And he would be completely unable to disagree with them, would nod and smile. There's a point in the movie where Sway is about to steal a car and she says, "I was always a sucker for a redhead." Now, you might be wondering why that was. It wasn't me, unfortunately. She's actually referring to a 1987 Ferrari Testarossa. Testarossa is Italian for red top, or in slang, redhead. So I've got to give you now a word of caution, and honestly, it's so sad that I think I'm going to have to hand over to Negative Simon here to tell you. Now, we had already mentioned that the star of the original Gone in 60 Seconds movie was a guy called Toby Halicki, and he was married to a lady called Denise Halicki. Denise was actually a producer on the new Gone in 60 Seconds reboot in 2000. Before that, sadly, Toby died in a car stunt gone awry, and at that time, Denise took out legal action against Toby's relatives to make sure that she had exclusive control on his estate. Fast forward to 2004, and beloved car icon Caroll Shelby decided that he wanted to create a line of Eleanor Shelby GT 500 Mustangs based on the car in the Gone in 60 Seconds reboot. Now, Denise Halicki did not like this at all and went through 4 years of lawsuits against Caroll Shelby until she gained exclusive rights to the title of Eleanor for a Shelby GT 500 Mustang. Caroll Shelby had to shut down his replica line. Fast forward again to 2020, and a YouTube channel called B is for Builder were taking the chassis of a 2015 Mustang, the body of a 1967 Shelby GT 500, and they were creating a project car that they called Eleanor. They ended up having that car seized by Denise Halicki's estate. They ended up having to take down every single YouTube video detailing the build of that car, and were left with nothing. Wow, so the old saying, what's in a name? I think now we know. Enjoy playing with your Shelby GT 500 Mustangs, just please don't call them Eleanor. There are a couple of really cool throwbacks to the original 1974 Gone in 60 Seconds movie. First of all, when Mirror Man, played by TJ Cross, is talking to the clerk at the police impound yard, you can see a sign behind him that reads, "If you leave your car unlocked, it will be gone in 60 seconds. That same sticker was also used in the 1974 original. Also, while the car that gets the starring role is different between the two movies, the location of that car is the same. Both of them are found in the International Towers in Long Beach. There's another really fun scene that's almost identical between the original movie and the 2000 reboot, and that's where in the reboot version, Delroy Lindo, playing the detective, is being coaxed by the gang of thieves to hit the gas on a car that's actually blowing away drug evidence.
Break it, you buy it, my friend.
Now, if you've got eagle eyes, there's also a scene in the movie where Memphis goes into Otto's shop and there's a decal of a woodpecker on the window. Does that woodpecker look familiar to you for any reason? Well, if you're a Nicolas Cage fan, it should. It's the same woodpecker that he actually got tattooed on himself in Raising Arizona. Please forgive me for being so juvenile, but it makes me laugh every time that in Greek theaters they change the title of this movie from Gone in 60 Seconds to Come in 60 Seconds. Yep. One aspect of the original script that they dropped was that the Sphinx was supposed to be called the Sphinx because, like the Egyptian statue, he had no nose. And the idea was for them to CGI remove Vinnie Jones's nose through most of the movie, and through some scenes where he was outdoors, have him wearing fake glasses with a fake nose. I'm not sure that would have worked with Vinnie. Timothy Oliphant, who plays the more bumbling detective in this movie, was actually the first choice to also play Dominic Toretto in the Fast and the Furious franchise, and he actually felt that as he was already working on Gone in 60 Seconds, the Fast and the Furious was way too similar a concept, so he turned it down, and that's when they offered that role to Vin Diesel. Well, with all the trivia and Easter eggs, I hope I've given you enough reasons to go back and rewatch the 2000 fun action romp Gone in 60 Seconds. Please hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this, and it's time for me to rock and roll. Peace out, my friends. I will see you next time.